This is the Louie T Network. Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Who else could it be? But me, your man, Louie T. Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I am your host, Louie. Thank you for joining me. This is the NFL Draft Prospects 101. Your guide to some of the biggest and hottest names of the 2015 NFL Draft. We're talking defensive linemen, and when you're talking defensive linemen, where's the beef? You talk about beef, and you're talking about Washington's UW's Danny Shelton. There is not a bigger presence in the middle of this draft than Danny Shelton. Let's talk about his pros and why this guy is going to be one of the biggest players in the 2015 NFL Draft. Space Eater is the first pro, and at 6'2", 339 pounds, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if you believe 339 pounds as this guy's weight, then you're a damn fool, okay? You know what his weight reminds me of? When I was a kid, The Undertaker used to come to the ring, and when he was announced, coming down the aisle, weighing in at 327 pounds, from parts unknown, The Undertaker. You remember that? I know y'all remember that. If you watched wrestling when you were a kid, The Undertaker wasn't from Death Valley. He was from parts unknown. That's Danny Shelton's weight. Nobody really knows how much this guy weighs. Doesn't matter. At the end of this day, the guy is humongous. And he's definitely way more than 340 pounds. I can assure you of that. And his space, his sheer girth, and his width is something that teams are going to love, because this guy plugs up the middle of the football field. And there's not a lot going on around this guy. We're going to continue to elaborate on that as we break him down. He's powerful, man. That's the next pro. This is a guy that moves men for a living. I mean, he literally picks guys up and deposits them 3 to 4 yards in the backfield for a living. This guy is a beast of a man. And there are a couple of times when you're watching the film and all you can do is laugh because of how easily he manhandles the guy in front of him. And it's not fair at times. And I just get a crack out of it because, you know, all of these guys have egos. Every single player in the National Football League has an ego. From player 1 on the roster to player 53, they all have an ego. That's how they got to the National Football League. And so if you're a player in the National Football League, especially if you're an offensive lineman, you probably see yourself as a big, strong, physical human being. A guy that is capable of handling himself and not allowing another man to manhandle him. But a lot of times that is just not the case with Danny Shelton, man. You just say to yourself, man, damn, this guy is big and he's strong and there's not much. I need help. Help! You know, you always gotta be willing as a man to know when you need help and to be able to ask for it. And a lot of times you can see guys saying, hey man, we gotta double team this dude. I can't take him by myself. And so he's a powerful individual, is Danny Shelton, the likes of which we haven't seen come into the National Football League from the collegiate level in a very, very long time. He's relentless. I love his tenacity. This is a guy that doesn't give up on any play. I don't care where the play is. He could be on the strong side of the play goes weak side, and it's going 15 yards up the field away from him. And you'll see number 55 flash into the screen at some point, running, trying to get to the action. I just love his motor. And I'll go ahead and throw his motor in there. It's a tremendous motor that he has. It's another pro for him. This guy is relentless. He will not give up. And I'm gonna tell you what relentlessness will do for you. He had 9.5 sacks. And I'm gonna talk about those 9.5 sacks a little bit later on. But a good majority of those sacks were off of sheer determination. It wasn't Danny Shelton beating a guy off the snap. You know, one or two of them may have been him just beating a guy inside with a quick move and getting to the quarterback. But a lot of these were moves where he just wouldn't give up. They were just simple bull rushes that took 3 to 4 seconds. Nobody was open, coverage sack, and he found his way to the quarterback. And because he did not give up on the play, he got himself a sack on the play. And so he is a relentless football player, and his motor matches the relentlessness that you see from snap to snap. And you will not find a time where this guy isn't giving you maximum effort. Whatever he's got, if it's 80% in the tank, you're getting 100% of 80%. And so this guy gives you everything he's got when he's on the field, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. Great short area quickness. We found out at the combine that this guy isn't the greatest athlete, and at 355, 360 pounds, you could imagine that he's not the greatest athlete in the world. But for his size, this guy can play about 1.5 to 2 gaps and play them with extreme quickness. I call him a big ninja because on his feet, for those 2 gaps, this guy is light on his feet. And he's got about, the 2 gap radius where if you're running to the A gap from the C gap, he can get there and he can make a play on the football. Now, if you run outside, you run wide, he can't help it. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But his short area quickness, his ability to beat guys off the snap, his ability to go down the line of scrimmage and make plays, his ability to make plays in short areas is alarming for a guy that size. And again, there's a lot to love about Danny Shelton. I swear there is. Loved watching the tape. Point of attack prowess. Here's a guy that you're not moving him. And he's one of these immovable objects where this guy is standing up, and even when he's tired, you can't move this guy. He's not going anywhere. He stands up to double teams. They can't move him either. He may not be able to penetrate as much when it's a double team, but you're not moving this guy. You're not going to just wash Danny Shelton out of a play because you put an extra guy on him. It's just not happening. His point of attack prowess, second to none in this draft. You won't find another player in this draft that stands up at the point of attack better than Danny Shelton. I will guarantee it. I'll put anything you want to put up. You go ahead, pick a player, give me Danny Shelton. I feel like I'll win every single time at the point of attack because this guy is not moving. Better find somewhere else to run, because if you try to sneak by him, this leads us to our next pro. He stacks and sheds with the best of them, okay? I love the fact that, really, if you're trying to run the football, your best bet is just to stay away from Danny Shelton. I'm going to be totally honest with you. If you're looking to run the football with any kind of effectiveness, stay away from 55. Because wherever he is, you shouldn't be, because you're not getting past him most likely. You've probably got a 5% chance of sneaking by Danny Shelton on a run play, okay? He's like a security guard that you're trying to sneak past to get into a facility who's sleeping, but he's got one eye open. And every time you come close, he gets up, hey, what you doing? Get out of here. And he's one of those guys, he's patrolling his area of the field, and you're probably best served going somewhere else, okay? And this leads us right on to our next pro. They kind of all tie in together. Paw Doom. I love his Paw Doom. Damn it, his Paw Doom is vicious, okay? So he's getting blocked, and the guy's running, and he's like, oh yeah, I got a little bit of daylight. I'm about to hit this hole, and Danny Shelton is right there, and he says, no you don't. And he's got one of those Paw Dooms. You're a running back, you running. You stop right dead in your track. Boom, down. It's over with. Danny Shelton is not to be played with when you're talking about stopping the run. His Paw Doom, he's got one of those Paw Dooms, stops you dead in your tracks. If you get 2 yards on the play and you meet Danny Shelton, you got 2 yards on the play. Not 3, not 4. This isn't one of those guys you can drag along for an extra yard or 2. You got 2 yards on the play. Be happy you got 2 yards on the play. That's how his Paw Doom works. And just, you don't move anymore. You don't move Danny Shelton. Even if he's getting blocked. Paul Doom, you're down. Done. Finished. And finally, his endurance. And I said I was going to talk about his endurance a little bit later on, and we're going to talk about it again. But his endurance is outstanding for a guy his size. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Vince Wilfork and his ability to play as many snaps as he does and had played for the New England Patriots throughout his career. Now he's with the Texans. We'll see if he's going to be able to continue as he gets up there in age to play a lot of snaps. But Vince Wilfork, when he was in his prime, could easily play 80 to 85% of the snaps for the Patriots and rarely come off the field, and you would just marvel at what he was able to do. Danny Shelton is the exact same way. And like I said, he may not be 100, may not be 100% left in the tank, at all times. But even if it's 35% left in the tank, you're getting 100% of that 35%. You're getting everything this guy's got on every snap he's on the field. And that kind of determination, that kind of motor, that kind of will and want to, man, you can sign me up for that every day of the week. I want that guy on my team every single time. Give me 11 Danny Sheltons, and I tell you what, you'll find me somewhere deep in the playoffs every single year, because this guy wants to get it done, and he wants to do whatever it is he has to do for his team to help them get it done. And so this is the type of guy that I want on my football team. And so that's why I love Danny Shelton in this draft. His endurance is just a microcosm of what he is as a football player. I think the world of this guy, if you can't already tell. And so from his pros, we go to his cons, and you start with him not being much of a pass rusher. I talked about 9.5 sacks. 9.5 sacks, that's more than Leonard Williams, that's more than Malcolm Brown, it's more than the Oklahoma kid, Jordan Phillips. That's more than most of these guys coming into the draft for the defensive line positions. Defensive end and defensive tackle. He had more than most of these guys, but don't be fooled here, okay? His 9.5, it doesn't look like Leonard Williams' 7 sacks from 2014, okay? Danny Shelton's sacks, he had 4 in one game versus Eastern Washington, okay? So that skewed his numbers right there. 4 in one game, that's a huge output for a guy that doesn't get to the quarterback. But let me tell you this, of the 9.5 sacks he had, probably about 6 to 6.5 of those were covered sacks, where he just didn't give up on the play, continued to push and push and push the pocket, collapse the pocket, and finally the quarterback ran out of time, and he kept trying to survey the field and find an open guy. And when you got Marcus Peters behind you, Shaq Thompson and those guys running in man-to-man coverage, hard to find somebody open, and next thing you know, Danny Shelton's in my lap, and he goes down. And so don't let those sack totals fool you. This isn't a guy that's going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I don't think he's going to get consistent pressure on the quarterback. And I feel like he's probably going to be more of a 2-down player at the next level, a guy that you want on the field on 1st and 2nd down. But on 3rd downs, when you start going to those nickel packages and those sub packages, you're probably going to need to take him off the field and allow somebody else that can get to the quarterback to come onto the field. But again, never know who drafts this guy and what they see in him. They might just leave him on the field for all 3 downs. It wouldn't be a mistake, because again, you don't want the quarterback stepping up, and if Danny Shelton is on the field, he's not stepping up because Danny Shelton's going to collapse the pocket. So it can work both ways, but he's not much of a pass rusher. He's just shelling himself when he's tired. That goes without saying. I mean, really, who plays at maximum efficiency when they're tired? And you can go through all the positions on the field. I mean, nobody plays their best football when they're tired, especially defensive linemen, especially when you're over 350. I mean, you definitely need a blow at some point. And he's one of those guys. I talked about the endurance and his ability to stay on the field despite being tired and play a high volume number of snaps. He's a guy that when he's not fresh, you're not getting the same Danny Shelton that you got earlier in the possession or earlier in the game, but that's understandable. But like I said, even when he's tired, you're getting everything he's got. You just gotta know, it's not 100% of 95%, it's 35% in the tank, and so you're getting 100% of 35%. Again, what can you do? What can you do give the man a blow. That's what you can do. You know, sub him in and out. That's why in the National Football League, you got to have a defensive line rotation that allows these guys to get a breather. You keep him fresh, you got a dominant football player on your hands. His size will keep him out of plays. And I talked about him having about a 2 gap to a gap and a half radius where this guy makes plays. You go anywhere outside of that radius, you run a running play that gets to the outside, he's probably not going to be able to get there in time. Now, if you slow down the ball carrier, or he tries to make too many moves, or he has to break a tackle or two, Danny's coming. And he's not going to quit on the play. So he'll be there, but he's just going to show up late to the party. Now, if that running back is able to hit a seam, Danny's out of play. He can't do anything about it. He can't get down the line that quickly because of his size. He's a big, big man. There's a lot of weight that he has to carry. He's not getting down there in time. But again, if you can stall, if that running back has to break a tackle, if he's one of these dancing running backs that wants to juke and jive in the backfield and he's dancing behind linemen, oh, Danny's coming. And you can bet your bottom dollar, Danny will be there. Like I said, he's not always on time, but he's always there when you call. Danny will be there eventually. You better get the hell out of Dodge before he shows up. Because if you're still there, you're going down and you're going down hard with 360, 65 pounds of man falling on top of you. So that's Danny Shelton in a nutshell. I love this guy, man. Like I said, I take this guy 10 times out of 10. And whoever gets this guy, Chicago, they're definitely getting a big time, nose grader and road grader and just space eater, and a guy that is going to give you everything he's got on every single snap. So that's Danny Shelton and his NFL Draft Prospects 101 breakdown. What happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. See you next time. There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at In the Lab Room, or you can like the Facebook page at In the Lab Room. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and at In the Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.